Good morning to everyone, especially dead relatives. It sounds a little morbid, but it doesn't really feel like that to me. It's a fact of life that people die, and every single one of us has a lot of dead ancestors. I've always loved exploring where I come from. That extends to a lot of different things. I love local histories of the places I live. I adore New York, my home state, and I enjoy perusing my family trees and learning about my relatives. I also really love finding old stuff from those relatives. Right now, I'm living in the house my great-great-grandfather built. It's always been in the family. First, my great-great-grandfather Benjamin built it, and then my great-grandfather Edward lived in it, then my great-aunt Dorothy lived in it, and then my grandfather Don, and now me. With a history like that, it's no surprise that there is a ton of cool stuff in this house. A non-exhaustive list of things I've found. My Gramps' spelling book from 1942. A letter my Gaga wrote to her cousin when she was 7. Numerous photos of people whose names I don't know, but who I am related to. A photo album full of pictures of the house when it was new, complete with a horse and buggy on an unpaved road. And that's just what I've found since I moved in. There's plenty of things here that I have seen before, like the foundation of the one-room schoolhouse on the property, where I'm pretty sure my Gramps actually went to school. The Sears Roebuck plans for the house, conveniently tucked into one of the rafters in the attic. A really old-school scale. Stone heating blocks to warm your bed up at night. Old black and white photos of my mother and her siblings as children, smiling and laughing with my grandparents when they were young. And there's so much more to be discovered. I don't think I will ever stop finding pieces of my past in this house, even if I live here the rest of my life. My great-great-grandparents and their children, and my great-grandparents and my great-aunt Dorothy are all buried in the cemetery right across from the house. Sometimes I walk my dogs in the cemetery and stop and say hello to them. The only one I ever met was my Aunt Dorothy, but I love them all. They are all a part of who I am and where I come from. This house is a living piece of my past, just like all my dead relatives are. So no, I don't see this as morbid. I see my dead relatives as still alive in a way, having this ongoing conversation with their descendants through photos and knickknacks and interesting quirks in their house. And that's all just from one side of my family. Good morning to everyone, especially dead relatives. I'm Charlotte Lehman, and this is Good Morning Especially. Every day, we're here to tell everyone good morning, especially to a certain someone. This podcast is a group project, so I want to hear who you're saying good morning to. You can email us at goodmorningespeciallypod@gmail.com. Either write it out in an email and I'll read it, or record a voice memo and send it for me to play on the podcast. I can't wait to hear who you're wishing a good morning.